and see what the angry African-American lesbian would say. Would she say, my bad, hope Caitlin Clark is doing well, no place in the game, lost my mind? Would she say, I'm not talking about it? Or would she go victim? You know the answer. Of course you know the answer. The answer is, I'm a victim. Not Caitlin Clark. No. Alyssa Thomas is the victim. And the WNBA just continues to be.
Alyssa Thomas is the victim. In the span of a single postseason game, the narrative of the WNBA shattered. The image, Alyssa Thomas's fist against Caitlin Clark's throat, became the defining photograph of a league at war with its own future. But for Clark, the silence from the league office has been deafening. And for veteran journalist Christine Brennan, it wasn't just a missed call by the referees. It was a failure of leadership by Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. This isn't a story about a single flagrant foul. It is the culmination of 3 years of simmering resentment, a toxic culture festering in the shadows of record-breaking popularity. While Caitlin Clark shattered viewership records and filled arenas that had been empty for decades, the physicality directed at her escalated. It was a targeted campaign of welcoming the new star by testing her will, a practice Clark handled with stoic silence. But the silence from the WNBA's front office, according to Brennan, spoke volumes. They issued a one-game suspension and a paltry fine to a veteran making millions, a slap on the wrist that Brennan argues was an implicit endorsement of the aggression. The question isn't just whether the punishment fit the crime. The question is why Commissioner Engelbert and her league remain so terrified to admit the obvious. Caitlin Clark isn't just the future of the WNBA. Right now, she is the financial engine powering the entire machine. And yet, the machine seems determined to grind her down. This is the story of a league that created a golden goose, and then watched as its players tried to break its neck.
These instances, and is the suspension them supporting Caitlin Clark? Is that enough?
It's historic that, yes, they suspended someone. I guess they just so rarely do that. But, it's a slap on the wrist for a woman making $1.2 million and making $1.2 million, certainly in part because of the woman who came in three seasons ago and erased everything. So, these are facts. The wanting to minimize Caitlin Clark.
Christine Brennan's condemnation isn't about a single moment of violence. It's about a pattern of institutional incompetence. The WNBA's decision to suspend Alyssa Thomas for one game, fining her a mere $1,000, was a historic moment, but only because the league so rarely punishes anyone. To Brennan, this wasn't justice. It was a slap on the wrist that told the rest of the league that taking a shot at Caitlin Clark comes with a negligible cost. Alyssa Thomas makes $1. $2 million, a figure that Brennan points out, is certainly in part because of the woman who came in 3 seasons ago and erased everything. This is the crux of the controversy. The veteran players like Alyssa Thomas resent Clark's instant stardom, a resentment that manifested not just in hard fouls, but in a refusal to acknowledge her contribution. Brennan highlights the absurdity. Clark brought the charter flights, the TV ratings, the packed arenas. She materially made Alyssa Thomas's life better, getting her out of coach seats and into a higher salary bracket. And how does Thomas repay her? By putting her fist to the throat of the cash cow. The timeline of this conflict is critical. From the first day of Clark's rookie season, veterans like Diana Taurasi, Cheryl Swoops, and others greeted her with hostility, not mentorship. Alyssa Thomas didn't apologize for the throat punch. Instead, she went to the media to claim victimhood, citing death threats and saying the narrative was painting her as a thug. Brennan dismantles this deflection, insisting the visual of Thomas's fist to Clark's throat will live with this league forever. It symbolizes a disturbing ingratitude, the face of the league, Clark, being attacked by the players she is lifting up. The long-term strategic consequences are devastating. By not issuing a 10-game suspension or a significant fine, the league emboldened its players. It signaled that Clark is not protected, that she is fair game. This isn't about safety, it's about accountability. And the WNBA leadership, led by Cathy Engelbert, has abdicated that responsibility. The slap on the wrist is an indictment of a commissioner who failed to anticipate a cultural shift.
And instead, in the void, Dan, they allowed this aggression and anger to fester, and it is now just continues to fester like some pot on a stove that is now just boiled over. So that's my answer to your question. I'm not avoiding it. I don't know for sure. No one has said I hate her because she's white. No one has said to me I hate her because she is straight. I've never heard those words, and I want to make that crystal clear. But it is also...
Brennan's analysis dives deep into the psychological warfare being waged against Caitlin Clark, a battle that Alyssa Thomas and her cohorts lost the moment they tried to make themselves the martyrs. The WNBA, according to Brennan, failed the players by allowing this aggression and anger to fester. While Alyssa Thomas cried foul to the media about online harassment, she conveniently forgot that her exact same complaints were recorded years ago. But context is everything. When Thomas plays the victim, she ignores the immense privilege of her situation. Christine Brennan compares this to previous eras of the league. She recalls covering the WNBA in the 90s when it was an afterthought. Now, it has unprecedented exposure, all thanks to Clark. Yet the players are acting like a small clique, wishing the most popular person in the room would just go away. Brennan is furious about the hypocrisy. Journalists and players like Sarah Spain, who have spent their careers begging for the spotlight, are now criticizing Brennan for shining it on Clark. Spain called Clark a dereliction of duty, dismissing the overwhelming data that proves Clark is the singular driver of the league's current economic boom. Brennan pushes back hard, comparing the treatment of Clark to the historic rivalries of men's basketball, the Bird versus Magic dynamic, where the stars were celebrated, not targeted with malice. The difference is startling. Instead of "welcome, kid," Clark got a realities-coming kick to the shins from Diana Taurasi. Brennan argues that this meanness is born from jealousy, a jealousy that the it player isn't a UConn grad or a black woman. It's a complex racial and social cocktail that the league, led by Engelbert, failed to address via mandatory team meetings or proactive training. They knew the moment was coming, the record ratings, the massive crowds, but they were unprepared. Brennan emphasizes that Caitlin Clark, the straight white girl from Iowa, is the most important women's team sport player in history. The psychological hurdle Clark faces is immense. She has to simultaneously carry the financial weight of the league while physically fighting against those same teammates who don't want her to succeed.
So lucky. Caitlin Clark could be bashing everyone. She could have the personality to just go out there and say what she thinks. With the millions and millions of people who follow her, that would be it would create a very difficult situation for the WNBA. If whatever she thought, she did that. If what Alyssa Thomas is saying, I think that there is confusion because Alyssa Thomas said in that
Caitlin Clark's silence in the face of this onslaught is the only reason the WNBA still exists as we know it. That is the staggering, franchise-altering reality of this moment. Christine Brennan marvels at Clark's restraint. The WNBA is so lucky to have her, because Caitlin Clark could be bashing everyone. She has millions of followers. If Alyssa Thomas's complaints about online threats are serious, where are the police reports? Brennan points out that when Clark had a stalker, the authorities were involved. But for Alyssa Thomas, the victim complex is the only strategy. Meanwhile, the league office is caught in a contradiction. Commissioner Engelbert is reportedly texting Alyssa Thomas, comforting her, while staying publicly silent about Clark's safety. This is a financial disaster waiting to happen. Clark is the one driving the revenue. She forced the league to finally get charter flights. Her presence is generating the money that pays Alyssa Thomas's salary, and yet the leadership is coddling the players who are trying to injure their cash cow. Brennan wonders aloud, what if Clark left? If Caitlin Clark decided to start a barnstorming league or simply walk away, what would the WNBA have left? The answer is catastrophic. The WNBA would lose its TV ratings, its merchandise sales, its fan base. Brennan points out that there is only one player who could pull that off, Caitlin Clark. The threat of that reality should terrify the league, yet they act oblivious. The climax of this saga is the ultimate irony. Alyssa Thomas claims the narrative is painting her as a thug, but Brennan asserts that the only narrative is the visual of the throat punch. The high-stakes gamble the WNBA is making is that Clark's grace will continue to paper over their incompetence. By defending Thomas and ignoring Clark, Commissioner Engelbert is betting that Clark will stay quiet. But Brennan warns that the WNBA is completely and utterly unprepared for the moment. And their silence is not just disrespectful to Caitlin Clark. It is a reckless, dangerous, and financially suicidal choice.